Have you played a level recently only to quit because of this? Well, let's fix that. Camera triggers are super broken. They can make a good level great, or they can ruin it entirely. But first, you should know how these triggers work. Zoom lets you zoom in or out over time, which is pretty simple. Static locks the camera to one object's position. You can make it follow that object's movement, only lock the camera's X or Y axis in place, and disable it by using another static trigger with exit static enabled. Offset shifts the camera around kinda like a move trigger, while gameplay offset changes the player's position in the frame. You know how the player is a bit to the left? That's because of the gameplay offset. Rotate lets you set the camera's rotation, and you can also stack rotations with the add option. Edge limits how far the camera can move by setting a border using the group with one object in it. To disable it, you can use the unlock option on a second trigger. Finally, mode lets you switch to freefly mode, and guide lets you see how your camera will look from inside the editor. These triggers are kinda simple, but if you don't understand these options, we have a guide on them in our Discord. What's more important is how to use camera triggers to your advantage. All these levels get one simple thing wrong: their camera work isn't informative. When you have gameplay outside the camera view or move things around too fast to see, you have a bad camera. Don't confuse people who play your level or make them dizzy or anything like that. That's the most basic tenet of a decent camera. But it's not enough to simply have a decent camera. To use these triggers like a pro, you need to learn more about why they exist. Let's start with staging. Cameras are meant to capture a scene, so you can use them to convey scale and keep the player focused on what's important. You can use the zoom trigger to make a space feel cramped and tight, or spacious and majestic. And you can use the static and edge triggers to keep players focused on what's actually important in your gameplay, instead of just showing the edges of it. And on that note, let's talk about info once again. Give the player all the info they need to pass their current segment, and usually not more than that. Keep gameplay in front of the player, so when they move right, they should be on the left side of the screen and vice versa. Similarly, avoid having blind gameplay unless it's auto, and show the player what's going on ahead if you can't avoid blind jumps. This level has decent cameras, but I often died when playing because I moved too fast for the camera to keep up and I couldn't see gameplay ahead of me. But you could consider it a stylistic choice, like how Terraria keeps you in the center of the screen at all times. And speaking of style, it's where you get to be expressive with your camera. As long as you don't obscure information or confuse the player, the sky is really your limit here. You can use fast and quick camera movements to convey intensity, just like shaking the camera when explosions occur. The sense of scale from the zoom trigger can also highlight how beautiful the scene is, and you can make real art pieces by controlling how much your composition moves. By changing how the camera adjusts and keeps up with the player, you can make a sense of incredible speed or snappiness. You can even subtly use rotations to make the player feel like they're ascending or descending. And to really see how this works, just consider the difference in this level. I modified the camera to make it zoom out and show the landscape, then offset it to change the player's focus a bit, and just those subtle changes made it feel much better. But there's one last thing to remember, and it's that a good camera can't save bad gameplay. If you want to improve that part of your levels, then join our Discord server to learn everything you need to know about making gameplay.